it doesn't exist, right?
He may exist, but we don't know. He's never come
Well,
into that.
yes, exactly. Yes, that's the humble position. That's a sane position. Well, I don't know. Uh, that sounds like a strange name. I never heard of it, but I don't have the last word on anything. So this is sanity. This is humility. Uh, so Tierra del Fuego is at the end of South America, at the very tip, I believe, of Argentina. Tierra del Fuego. So there's so many places we don't know anything about. How many of you, uh, I know I don't, but how many of you are expert in diseases of rhinoceros? Can any of you diagnose a rhinoceros for disease? Maybe someone?
No, Prabhu.
Anyone? But there, there are people who know. So many things we don't know. Uh, and sometimes we humans, we become a little afraid of new things. It's true, especially something like suppose you live in a village and a stranger comes into the village and they're dressed very different. So, it's a cause for, well, who is this? What are they doing here? We've never seen this kind of dress. So are they a danger? This is natural and it's good. Of course, it's good to be cautious. Uh, sometimes, this is can be bigotry, you know, uh, all over the world. But, I have been in small towns, very small towns here in the United States. And strangers are not, they're not welcomed with open arms. And sometimes they're not wanted. They're not liked. You're different than us. We don't like you because you're different, which is kind of a primitive sort of thinking. But anyway, so the point is, there are so many things we don't know, and sometimes just because we don't know them or we're not familiar, it can be a little shocking to our brain. But that doesn't mean that the thing doesn't have value, or in other words, whatever the thoughts and feelings inside of our head or someone else's head has no effect upon reality. Like sometimes people will say, I don't believe in reincarnation, right? Or someone will say, our family, we don't believe in reincarnation, as if it's the last final absolute decision. But all it is, it's an opinion inside the person's head. It's just a feeling. I like it, I don't like it, I believe it, I don't believe it. It's just feelings inside the head. Whether it's true or not, that's something else, right? As Mataji said, that whatever's going inside our head has, so it's good to remember that. And it's also good to remind other people about that you're hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam about other planets and higher planets. But then we're hearing amazing things from scientists also that we don't see, and they don't see either, or not much. They talk about these black holes in the middle of universes, and they speak about dark matter. They haven't been able really to see it, this dark matter. They think it exists. They're pretty sure it exists, and they talk about it, but they really haven't seen it. Uh, this, of course, the idea that everything has come about by chance, that there's a big bang uh, a long time ago, 14 billion years ago, there was a big explosion. There was a lot of hot, very, very hot gas and dust, and it became condensed, it shrunk into planets, and then somehow these planets, we have this planet Earth, and somehow by chance, here we are today talking. So that's that. You want to talk about a story? That's a pretty, if you had heard that for the first time, you came from another planet and you said, well, how did all of you get here? What is your understanding? Well, there was a big explosion. And then gradually over billions of years, somehow things developed just by themselves, by chance. And that's how we're here. So that's also a fantastic story, isn't it? And then if you ask, well, have you proven it? Have you been able to, have you seen something change genetically by DNA over the course of 5 generations or 10 generations? Have you seen a frog turn into a bird? No. Have you seen an ostrich feather, turn into feet? No. Have you seen anything change? No. They just, it's a belief. It's a belief, this idea. And I have studied it very, very deeply. Of course, many other people have. The idea of intelligent design compared to chance. And if you study it, if you actually take 2 hours, 3 hours, and you read a little bit of the details, anyone can come to their own conclusion. It's very easy, these modern scientists, it's very easy to say that over the course of billions of years, gradually, jellyfish turned into plants, and the plants somehow gradually turned into frogs, and that's pretty crazy. And the frogs somehow, over billions of years, they gradually changed into birds, and the birds turned into tigers. That's what they say. So maybe it sounds, well, yeah, well, anything can happen over billions of years. I guess so. But if you study, if you take the time, I've taken the time, it's not possible. And the scientists by mathematics, they have these big computers now, so you can calculate. You can calculate what's it called, statistics. If you have a big box and you put 50 slips with numbers, you put numbers 1 until 50, and then you pull them out of the hat, you can calculate what the odds are that you'll if you do it 3 times, what are the odds you're going to pull out a 3, a 50, and a 22? You can actually calculate what the odds are. So the scientists, the biology, so most of them, they give this idea to the children that this DNA that controls how bodies they look. Because of mutations, there's some little change. There's some radiation, or what else do they say? Just by chance, somehow the the gene, it changes a little bit, and so then instead of blue, you get black. Instead of a long wing, you get a short wing. Instead of So little changes in the DNA and these genetic code that's inside each cell. So they say that over time, by chance, there's enough mutations that the feather turns into a leg. So maybe, but actually, if the calculation of even one small change with one species, and of course, there's thousands and thousands of different insects and birds and jellyfish and so many creatures. So just one creature to have feathers somehow change into feet. The number of genes that have to change is hundreds and hundreds, and they have to change in the right order. These are the technical details. I mean, it's easy to say that over time, the bird changes into the frog changes into a bird. But what does it actually take? So here's a simple example. Suppose you have a man on a horse, and he's inside, a courtyard, and then of a building, like some of these apartment buildings. They have four sides, and then in the middle, at the bottom, there's like a little place where people can sit. So suppose this building is 10 floors, and there's 100 doors. Each floor has 100 uh, uh, flats, 100 apartments. So the idea of genes changing is that for this man on the horse, why on the horse? Let's just say he's walking. So he's walking, and he has to get to the 10th floor. He has to get to the roof. And the way he has to get to the roof is that with it blindfolded, he can't see. He has to pick the one door out of 100 on every floor. You understand? Like he might get the first floor right, but then he's on the second floor. He has to find the next correct door out of 100, blindfolded. And then the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, you see? So not only does he have to uh, find the right door, but he's blindfolded. So this is what the scientists say, actually. You can see for yourself. I'm just passing it along. They say that these genes, they change correctly. And not only do they change correctly, the next one changes correctly, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And it's not 10, it has to be thousands. Because if one of them doesn't change correctly, it'll ruin the whole thing. It won't work. Which is why you may find this interesting. According to the experiments, the scientists do know this, that 98% or more of mutations result in disaster. It's not good. When we have some mutation, usually there's cancer or some disease. So however these genes may change, as far as can be understood, it doesn't result in anything useful. So I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out that actually, and many scientists know this, but they don't have any other idea, and it's been around a long time, and there's just nowhere else to go. So this is what they teach. So one point is it's just fantastic, this idea that everything has come about by chance. And Srila Prabhupada is saying here that we have to put our faith in someone. We learn about Tierra del Fuego, we learn about Johannesburg, we learn about Sri Lanka, we learn about all the different places of this world from someone else, don't we? We don't usually know about them. Someone tells us, oh, I went to Johannesburg and it looks like this. It has these buildings and it has these things to see. And then we learn and we have faith. Why should the person be lying? Right? Why should we not believe? Of course, sometimes we can't believe everyone. So it's a question of who to believe. That's one thing. Can we trust this person? I don't know if there's jobs in Johannesburg, but this person says there is. So can I believe them or not? Should I go there and look for a job based upon what they say? How much do I trust them? And depends upon who it is, right? If you know your friend has visited South Africa and you know that they're really your friend, and they're also what do you say? They're solid. They don't say things cheap. Maybe you will. All right, I'll go there for 3 weeks. I'll look for a job because you trust them. So that's it. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying to us that the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are accepted by great acharyas like Sridhar Swami, Ramanujacharya, Vallabhadracharya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and no sane man can ignore these statements when it is spoken by a self-realized soul. So one thing, is character. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, just see the character. Why should any one of these saints lie to us? Why would they waste their time? I mean, that's an interesting question. Why would someone, suppose I don't know the name of the prime minister there in Kenya, but why would that man or woman waste their time talking rubbish? I mean, sometimes politicians do, but I mean, just like the stories of Krishna, how he was a cowherd boy and he played on the lap of Mother Tashoda and he killed all these demons. So what I meant to say is that if we know that there's some serious person and they're talking serious philosophy and they're obviously very intelligent, why would they pay attention to something like that unless it had some truth to it? I may not understand it, but somehow they do. You see what I'm saying? When someone with ability uh, values something, then it probably has some value, whether we understand it or not. That's what I'm saying. Even we go to invest our money, we have some money, we want to put it in a good investment vehicle, someplace where it will accumulate interest. So we go to a broker, we go to a stockbroker, and they advise us that, in my experience, you put your money here and it will grow very nicely, 5% every year. They value it, and they have experience in those things, and so we would trust them. Okay, I've gotten good reviews, and you have a good history, so why should I? You're not just talking trash, wasting my time. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is full of such a very simple wisdom and culture and good character and morals. Why would someone like that just all of a sudden start writing some kind of science fiction about lifetimes, 311 trillion years, and planets and people traveling on air? Why would they waste their time with that? I mean, they could. It's true, they could. But it doesn't seem to me very likely. So, uh, if someone of good character and good intelligence and training, learning, believes something, then that's a good reason to believe it ourselves. Yeah, so that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying there. And then the next thing is, what Srila Prabhupada talks about, what we just talked about, that there's so many things we can't see. And so what? Who am I? This planet Earth, this planet is a tiny little speck of the universe. And me, I'm a tiny, tiny speck on a speck. And my friends may think I'm very smart. My workers, my employees, or my fellow employees, they may think I'm very good at what I do, maybe. And it may seem very meaning there, right? Sometimes I'm so good at what I do. I'm so expert. I'm a good this, I'm a good that. Good cricket player, good actor, good actress, good accountant. I'm a good father. And maybe we are a little bit. But it's such a tiny little accomplishment. Just because I'm a very expert photographer or whatever it is that I do, that doesn't make me an authority on anything else, right? Sometimes you hear people talking. Well, my opinion about this is, and of course, no disrespect. We're entitled to think whatever we want to think, but what really is the value of our opinion or someone else's opinion? Isn't it? I mean, honestly, I know I do. Sometimes people have a very overinflated, uh, what do you call it? Conception about themselves. Well, I don't believe in reincarnation. Okay, that's nice. It's nice that you have that feeling. I don't like broccoli myself, but it doesn't mean anything really. It's not the last word on anything. So it's almost childish or immature. Well, maybe it is true. I just never heard of it. Tell me more. Let me try and understand it more. How could this be? People who live 311 trillion. Well, we're eternal. Even a trillion years compared to eternity it's nothing. I mean that's beyond our thinking, but it's true. Eternity means no beginning. We there was never a time when I did not exist, right? Or you. That's what Lord Krishna tells us, that we have always existed. Think about that. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Natva evaham nasam, natva memi janali baha, nachaiva naba bhishma, sarve vayamataha padam. Compared to eternity, a trillion years is nothing. It's true. But it's relative. You see that's the thing. We look at things usually compared to our experience here on this planet. We don't see anyone who can lift planets. We don't see anyone who lives more than 100 or 110 years. And so it's fantastic compared to our limited experience. So therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, uh, yes, 13th chapter, the nature of the absolute. The very first verse discusses the qualifications necessary to see Krishna. It gives the qualifications to experience spirituality. Does anyone remember what the first one is? There's a list of about 13, 15 different personality characteristics. It's not something necessarily anyone would know, but
Humility.
humility. Yes, humility. Very first one. Very first. Then I'm really not as smart as I think. I don't know everything, and that's okay. On this planet, to be stupid, to not know something is sometimes socially very unacceptable. And we see, I can see it within myself, and I certainly see it around me. So many people are very afraid of saying, I don't know. Instead, if you ask someone for directs, people do. But many people, oh, how do I get to this place? Well, I think you go here, and I think you go. Just say, I don't know. Ask someone else. What's the problem? Is there something radically awful about saying I don't know? It doesn't mean you're any less of a person. You just don't know how to diagnose rhinoceros diseases. That's all. How many people do? So humility, just giving up this attitude that I know everything and that I can know everything. That's the other thing. Uh, Especially in the Western countries, I don't know about uh, Africa and Middle East, Far East, but certainly in the European and North American countries, there is definitely many people, if not most, or almost all, but I don't know, uh, that I am capable of understanding anything. And if I can't understand it, it's not understandable. That kind of, it's a kind of almost arrogance, uh, arrogance, overinflated valuation. But isn't it true? We're all so limited. We don't know how many hairs there are on top of our head. We can't remember what we had for lunch 3 weeks ago on Tuesday. We're so limited. So humility. And Krishna, when we accept this path of devotional service, Krishna will, it's guaranteed. Krishna will help us as much as we may need to be helped to become humble. Krishna will arrange different situations where we realize more deeply, I don't know everything, and I really don't, I'm really very tiny. I'm not so capable. And then when we have that humility, then we're able to hear, right? If you talk to someone and I know, there's a famous joke that someone was learning to play the violin, two people. So one person said, "Can I please learn from you?" "Yes, it will be 8 pounds an hour." And then the other person, "Can I learn from you?" "Oh, yes, yes. For you, $22 an hour, 22 pounds an hour." "Why 22?" "Because you already think you know something, so I have to unteach you." I have to clear the slate. So, like this, I can share. I had a personal experience long ago. So I was a new man, and I was in the brahmachari ashram, so small preaching center, and so small, just 4 or 5 men. So I was working very closely with the temple president. So he was having me do some keep the books, keep the money in and the money out. So he said one day, he said, "This is all wrong. You've added this. All the numbers are incorrect." And I did pretty good in school, and I had this conception that, oh, I'm smart. I know how to do things. I, how could I make a mistake? But I did make a mistake. And I tell you, I I tried very hard. Oh, let me do this completely correctly. So I gave it back to him. And he came back and he said, "It's still not correct." And I was so frustrated. And I thought, how is this? How could this be? I put my full attention. I tried my best. I'm good with numbers. So then, I just, it's beyond my control. So then a few days later, it was a whole thing by Krishna. So then a few days later, I was washing the floor. I was on my hands and knees. So I was cleaning with some cloth, and he was standing there, which was, I didn't like that. He was just looking what I was doing. I was watching, and I was thinking, let me do it perfectly. He won't say something. So I was cleaning. I missed a spot. He said, "Look, you missed this area." And I thought, how is this possible? I'm putting my full effort to do it perfectly, and still it's not correct. And Krishna let me understand that your ability is not the last word. You can try as hard as you want. You can be as capable as you think you are, but I'm the one who will allow you to be successful. And I felt like a load lift from my head. I tell you this. This is what happened. I was up in the brahmachari. So yeah, I was thinking that I was honoring prasadam, and I was thinking these things. So then I went upstairs, and I opened the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. And so I started reading, and it was like a new day. It was a different experience because my mind was humble. Instead of thinking, I know, I was thinking, I don't know, or maybe I can know, but let me just listen. And I really heard it. I really heard the knowledge. And I went downstairs immediately and I paid pranams to Srila Prabhupada. I said, I'm sorry. I've been so puffed up and proud. I'm so sorry. I was not listening to you. So these qualities, the humility, the pridelessness, tolerance, patience, compassion, cleanliness, all these different personality qualities, they help us, they empower us to receive, to understand this information. And this is one big reason, as we've discussed the past 2 or 3 classes, why some people, they don't appreciate Krishna consciousness. We can talk until we're blue in the face. Won't work. They don't have the ability because of their character, their life habits, their sinful activity. They just can't. And we can't either. Therefore, anartha nivritti, as what Srila Prabhupada said, this chanting of Hare Krishna, it is the key that unlocks the realization that are in these books. No one can just read these books. Well, they can, but in order to unlock them, we have to purify our consciousness, purify our character. And then it becomes, oh, if we see Krishna, oh, I didn't see it before. Now I'm seeing. Oh, yes. Very nice. It's a scientific process. So we'll stop here. It's time for questions, comments, discussion.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Um, I mean, a lot of realizations from this verse. And I was thinking this, aeroplanes, we are so puffed up to have aeroplanes and modern aeroplanes now, but it's already written in the Bhagavatam so many thousands of years ago that they still had aeroplanes to travel. And then, of course, these are not ordinary aeroplanes like what we have. They travel at I think much higher speeds than what we think of. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's only Bhagavatam can give this kind of descriptions. Otherwise, we would not have known also that these things were existed before.
Yeah. Yeah. So many things. And even mechanical. There's something called Vimana, Vimana. If you look it up, Vedic Vimana, there are, what do you call them? Architectural drawings. There are drawings how to make Vimana, airplanes in the Vedas with mercury powered engines.
Correct. I've seen some posts,
Yeah.
WhatsApp posts that they're taking lessons from the Mahabharata and Vedic times that how can mercury
Yeah.
propelled airplanes are a reality,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were used
Yeah.
in India before 5,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Hitler, the jet engines. He was a great student of some of the Vedic information, right? The
Mm.
swastika, right? And the Aryan, all that. Yeah. Some of these notable people, they know there's some good wisdom. Yeah, I was noticing that many of the past 10, 15 years, drugs by pharmaceutical companies, they have Indian names, Sanskrit names. They make them so they look English. But if you look carefully, they just changed it a little. But actually, it's a Sanskrit word.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, some very popular medicines are Sanskrit words for power, energy. Any other questions or comment? And it's all right to have doubts. If we don't have doubts, then we must be asleep. Doubts, Srila Prabhupada said, are a sign of good intelligence. And so, we should ask, how is this? Just like there's a description in the 10th canto that, who was it? Was it Ugrasen? Yeah, Ugrasen. He had, I don't know, 2 million bodyguards or something, or 2 billion bodyguards or something unbelievable. So I tried to calculate. So if a man stands in 1 foot space and you had 2 billion men, how much space would that be? How is that possible? It must be subtle, must be, including subtle beings, who uh, are helpful to Ugrasen.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I understand it. But there's many such. Well, there's not a lot, but there's some very fantastic numbers. And also, I read one of the acharyas in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Like I don't know if anyone has read, but in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, sometimes it says the kirtan was millions of people, or the sky and the ground was shaking like an earthquake. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he explains, at least in one place, that this is just to give an idea. It's not that if you took a calculator, there were exactly 1 million people, but there were just so many people, and it was so loud, and the ground was shaking. That's all. Sometimes it's somewhat figurative, just to give us impression. Any other comments or discussion?
Also on the relativity of the age factor, how the lifespan of Brahma and then other living beings in the other planets and compared to us, it's completely mind-boggling that somebody can live that long years.
Yeah. Of course, it might be mind-boggling to think that there are insects or bacteria that live one day, and they
Yes.
mate, they reproduce, and it's all done in a day or two.
Correct.
Yeah. Even wives, they'll say, "You always do this," but what they really mean to say is, "You do it so much, I don't like it." But it's not really that you do it all the time. You're always doing. No, not really.
Any other
But it gives
comments?
it makes the impression, right?
Yes. Any other questions or comments before we close the session? Already we have finished our allotted time. Hare Krishna. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, can I request Prasannatma Prabhu to end the session? Is it possible for you, Prabhuji? Okay, I think that now in whole of Kenya, there's a power break. Okay, Prasannatma Prabhu is online. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. My phone was in my pocket and I was doing some other errands, but I was listening. So yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for giving your time for the wonderful class, for enlightening us. It's always Srimad Bhagavatam gives us knowledge that is just out of this world. I think it's not enough just to try to glorify it, even in these few moments that I have. But I'm very thankful, Prabhu, and I'm very thankful for giving your time to come and enlighten us. So just the biggest way we can thank is just to humble ourselves and just to try and chant the Hare Krishna mantra and glorification of you, the Bhagavatam, and all the acharyas to say thank you. So please let's join and chant Hare Krishna. Let's do Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Hare. Vanchaka Patarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Eva Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for
Jai
your
Prabhupada.
thank you for your association.
Thank you.
I wish
Prabhu.
everyone a good week. Be safe, be happy.
You too, Prabhu. Thanks so much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.